regardless of how the votes fall tonight, I wanted to say thank you to Eric and Lauren for sticking by my side throughout this entire game. The Breakfast Club Alliance we formed in the beginning of the game was always my true alliance, and without them, I would not be sitting here. But anyway, I'm here to explain to you why I deserve the title of Sole Survivor. I guess the obvious reason first is that I feel I've worked the hardest and put the most effort into this game. Since week 1, I've been scheming and making plans that would help me ultimately make it to the end. Survivor was always on my mind, and I was constantly thinking about not only my next move in this game, but also 3 moves ahead of that. An example of this would be when I decided last minute to vote out Deanna. She was by my side since the beginning of the game, but I knew she was a threat and there was no way I could take her to the end with me. So I told all my allies about her 2 idols and convinced Scott to vote with me, and that night I sent one of my biggest rivals out the door with 2 idols in my pocket. Another reason I deserve your vote tonight is because despite all the odds that were against me, I still somehow made it here tonight. I not only began this game as a returner, but also as a huge threat with a giant target on my back. Therefore, coming into this game, I knew I wanted to align myself with bigger threats so that people would want to vote them over myself. This is the reason I aligned myself with people like Deanna, Scott, and Josh. Everyone pretty much knew we were aligned, and I had no problem with that because I planned all along to eventually backstab these alliances. However, we voted Deanna off early on, so from there I pretended that my only alliance was with Scott and Josh, when in reality I was always true to the Breakfast Club. Lastly, I deserve your vote tonight because I went above and beyond to outwit, outlast, and outplay each one of you. I made big moves in this game because I wasn't going to sit back and have other people control my fate in this game. Just to mention a few of these big moves would be when I sent Deanna home with 2 idols, when I showed Josh fake text messages saying that Eric was on our side, and finally when I convinced Ethan to vote Elysabethe last week, only so that Lauren and I could send Ethan home himself. I wasn't afraid to make these big moves because I've always been a fan of players in Survivor who weren't afraid to go after what they wanted. Being a returner and a threat in this game, there was no way I could play an honest game. I truly believe that I would not be sitting here tonight if I didn't backstab and deceive at least some of you. Survivor is a game about the numbers, and I did everything in my power to have the numbers on my side each and every week, which worked out pretty well, I'd say, because each time I went to tribal council, the name that I wrote down went home. Though I may have deceived and lied to get here tonight, I was always truthful and honest to my Breakfast Club alliance. Each week we discussed plans with the team, and I always made plans keeping them in mind. I want to close this speech out tonight by saying this. I understand that each of you are going to vote based on several things tonight. Some of you are looking for an honest game, others are voting based on strategy, and some of you just may vote randomly. But I want you all to know that I played my heart out because I was always focused on winning. I joined this game at the beginning of the summer because I wanted to win. I am a big fan of Survivor, and I did anything and everything I had to do to get to the end tonight, which meant lying and deceiving along the way. However, outside of this game, I consider each one of my friends, and I'm incredibly blessed to have met each and every one of you in this life.
Okay, this might take a while. I'm sorry, guys.
You got this.
Okay, so I know a lot of you already have your minds made up at this point on who you want to vote for, but all I ask is that you just hear me out. So when I started Survivor this season, there are still a lot of people who I haven't met before, and since I only played the one summer. And Tori was one of these people. I had no idea how she played the game or anything about her. So when she asked me to be in alliance, of course I said yes. Although we did keep it on the down low because who is going to tell everyone who they're aligned with. But, so she said she felt like she didn't really have anyone, and I kind of felt the same way at this point since I had no other alliances. And Raven, I will get to you on that one. Okay, so towards the end of this game, there was a lot of drama that went down, and everyone was calling Tori a huge threat, which I didn't really see at first. The way I had been playing the game was something that I know a lot of you don't really know about, and I'm not a sheep. I have had a say in everyone who was voted out this season. Tori, Eric, and I always discussed and strategized who was in our best interest to vote out. We hung out every week, and I invested a lot of time into our alliance, and I saw us as equals. Like, we freaking got shirts, you guys. That's how it is. So, for example, there were a couple times where they didn't want to vote out Raven, and I said no, that I wouldn't, because we had promised each other that we wouldn't vote each other out, and we ended up voting someone else. It wasn't until, Raven, you called me stupid And so I ended up turning on our agreement, and I wrote your name down. So, this drama continued, and I myself started to believe that Tori was a huge threat to me. So much that I probably would have voted her out and turned on her on our alliance if she hadn't had immunity. I'm sorry, I'm speaking. Okay, but lately I had been thinking. I think the reason why everyone thinks Tori is such a big threat is because she had alliances with everyone and was willing to turn on any one of them if she had to. A lot of you see that as the reason why you think she should win this season. But I don't see that at all. I actually see that as her weakness. George, you gave your vote to Tori every week, and now you're just going to give your vote to her. And I've never had that. Anyone just playing so that I could win. And also, Eric, you brought up the other week that your only reason playing this game was to help Tori win. And I just don't think that's how a winner should win. So, I heard a lot about the first season of Survivor and a speech that Tori wrote herself causing Brandon to lose. I could bring it up, but I don't know if a lot of you have heard it.
I've heard it.
Have you heard it?
No.
Okay, well, I don't know if I should play it or not.
You should play it.
Well, just a part.
Oh, it's
just
really
a part
long.
of it. Well, not the whole thing. Not the whole thing.
Okay. I was like,
I'm going to
We should make a projector. We should just
that would have made a
we should break them into classrooms.
I told you this would take a while. Okay.
his pulse, because he looks fine to me. Being a Survivor fan myself, you'd think I would appreciate the strategy. Except I don't, at all. Brandon only cared about himself during this game. I never wanted to believe anyone when they said I couldn't trust Brandon. We had countless amounts of conversations talking about how powerful our alliance was, how great.
That's it. But in this part, she talks about how she doesn't appreciate Brandon's strategy in promising final 3 to people and then voting her out. And that sounds pretty familiar to me with Scott, Josh. I don't know who else isn't here that I don't know. Anyways, okay, and then I'll bring another part out just because it's pretty good.
Can't deny that.
Okay. Okay.
And you want to know why? I'm a genuine person and a woman of my word. I don't twist people's mentalities into believing that I have their best interests in mind. I don't manipulate my allies. I mean, hell, I kept Kyle in this game this long, and he literally didn't do anything.
Okay, so she says she's a genuine person and a woman of her word. And I, in fact, have some text messages from Tori between you, Scott, and Josh. Hold on.
I'm not prepared for tonight.
Okay. She says, to Scott and Josh, she says, no, talking about me here. She says, no, I have been pulling them as numbers for us. I didn't want to tell you both because both you would think I was trying to swap sides, when in reality I was always making sure you were both safe. And yeah. So she just says how she is taking Scott and Josh to the final 3 and then votes you guys out. So, okay, I'm gonna continue what I have written because that was just not there. So, I remember being a little shocked when I was reading these messages between the 3 of you, and the whole time I watched this video, all I could think of was like, wow, Tori's saying all these reasons why Brandon shouldn't win, when basically here she's doing the same things. So why should Tori win when even she said she didn't appreciate the type of strategy she used this whole game? So yes, I was in an alliance with her, but I can't control the way she plays the game. That is her decision. I did not want to manipulate people because that sucks. So, Raven, I know what you were thinking, that I'm just contradicting myself, but from the beginning, when I decided not to vote the same way as you, we were off to a bad start. You see, me and Raven decided to be in an alliance before the game even began. But when I didn't vote with her the very first vote, she told me she couldn't trust me. So it seemed obvious to me that we weren't in an alliance anymore. So a few weeks later, we talked again and we promised each other that we wouldn't vote for each other. So that was all fine. Yes, I didn't vote the way that we had planned the week that James was voted off, but I didn't even vote for you. And you told me you weren't in an alliance with James, so I didn't see why that mattered so much. So much that I again repeat, you called me stupid on a personal level. So yeah, at that point, that's why I voted you out. So, just to explain that. But other than that, I've tried to play a pretty honest game, and I think that I've done the best that I could have. And I know that Elysabethe was honest too, but every week I have known who was going to go home because I felt comfortable that my lines had that power. Every name I wrote down was the person who went home. So yeah, I feel like I played a pretty good game. So that's pretty much it.
Well, I apologize. Mine will not be either length of theirs. 'Cause I had no idea what I was really getting into. I never saw one of these speeches before. I was like, I have to write a speech? I found out yesterday. So I apologize. I mean, I don't think you guys care that much. It's less talking, I guess. Okay. So this is why I played a better game than Tori and Lauren. I came into this game as a newbie, and unlike Tori and Lauren. They had allies from previous games, and I believe excuse me, the returners had a better chance in this game. As you can see, we had 2 in the final. I played an honest game. I never went behind anyone's back who I was in an alliance with. Sorry. And I won a challenge to prove that I belonged here. Tori had people pulling for her to win since the beginning of the season, and I had no one. I made an alliance with Ethan, and even though he voted for me last week, I never put his name down. I believe an honest game is better than a cutthroat game and a game where you piggyback off of other players to the end.
Like when they're responding
Okay,
and
yeah,
stuff.
okay. All right, proceed.
All right.
Martha.
So I'm gonna start before you guys talk with what Ethan sent to say because he sent over some comments. All right. Ethan's words. I want to know what it is you did that brought you all the way to Concord. Because I know Elizabeth and I got pretty far without putting in much planning or strategizing. It seems like one, Tori, and others are more invested in reaching the end. End quote.
I stuck with the people I said I'd stick with from the beginning. And I honestly didn't think I was going to make it very far. But then once I was like still here, I was like, you know what, I kind of want to win. But I mean, I didn't go and try to play other people against each other because it's not who I am. So I didn't think that was necessary. So I just kind of went with the flow and tried to see what would happen, and here I am.
From the beginning, I made a couple alliances with people I felt like I could trust, and I think that was a good move. I was honest throughout the game, which I think helped me a lot, and I helped my team win my tribe win some challenges, so we didn't have to vote anyone off. I won an individual challenge, and I strategized with my alliances on who was the smartest to vote off for us, and which I think worked out. And every name I wrote down was the person who went home, so I think that is all.
How did I get here? I made big moves. I wasn't afraid to do those big moves. I knocked out 2 idols. I made to clarify, I made an alliance with Josh and Scott, and I never promised them final 3 to So that's a lie, because I know that I hated Brandon for promising me Final 3, and so I never did that, just to clarify. And I, to go off what she said, hated Brandon because he wasn't true to anyone. I was always true to the Breakfast Club. So I learned from Brandon that you cannot win in the end if you lie to everyone, and I never lied to the Breakfast Club. So I think that's why I'm here.
Okay.
Hey.
Then does Josh want to start that?
Alright, I would first like to start off that I don't like that Tori's calling them the Breakfast Club. So, that's that. Second off, I do have to back Tori up on the fact that she never promised us Final 3, because there were many drunk nights that me and Scott, we would go to Tori and tell her we're going to go to Final 3 together, and she definitely never confirmed that, so I could back her up on that one. Lauren, I definitely agree with you on how shitty it was for her to still align with us, but it was super strategic because she knows she would have got voted out otherwise, and the same goes for you and Eric. She protected you guys from us, so I think she's a lot of reason you guys were there, and she would definitely have been the reason that I was there. The thing that upset me about it was that me and Scott were both gone the week that we both got voted out, so super salty about that. Elysabeth, I think you played an honest game, and I do respect that, but I think I'm going to be voting strategic-wise, but I guess your strategy would be that you kind of laid low and played your honest game, so I do respect that about you too. And I think that's about it.
Cool.
I wrote it today. Okay, double denim, yes or no?
What?
Double denim, yes or no?
It's not that one.
What'd you say?
Double
Yes.
Yes or no, double denim?
No.
I have double denim today. First.
I said no.
Anyway. I was gonna take off my shirt. I didn't want to take it. Okay.
Oh, Spanish, I was like, is this how he's voting?
Alright.
Pick a number.
Now. Define the denim.
That was so stressful.
How would I describe the color of my outfit?
What's not that one? The color?
Yes.
Light blue.
Alright. Now,
Don't.
explain these shirts you're wearing.
Do what?
Explain these shirts.
Explain
They're
them?
for our lines.
You want to know why they look like this?
Sure.
Okay, so our
I want to hear
lion.
when you bought them, where you got them from.
Alright,
Why I didn't
I don't know all of that.
Curious.
But our initials are in it. T for Tori, E for Eric, L for Lauren.
No G.
And G. It could go there, though.
Okay.
If you'll vote for me or Lauren. The bacon, because we're the Breakfast Club. We
The
named
reason we're the
ourselves-
Breakfast
yeah.
Club, yeah, is because every week we get together, strategize, eat some breakfast. We all took a turn and cooked each other breakfast, so that's all.
Have you guys seen the breakfast? Club?
We watched it
We
today.
did.
Did you guys?
Awesome
Okay.
today.
Alright, then that.
In honor of it.
Interesting. Okay, so it's
But
like.
we'll get you a shirt and sign it for you if you want. I don't know where they're from. Eric got them online.
Yeah, I see all the work.
He did all the work. We just helped design it and here.
We helped pick the color.
That's just helping design it. Okay. And then
We did.
my only
Yeah,
survivor
we picked the
thing
color.
is I probably won't vote for you if you like. Thank you for participating. And my shirt is not a joke.
Alright.
Well, I
Either
didn't
way.
actually write anything because I didn't have time because I worked all day today, but I wrote scrap notes and we'll just go on with that.
Literally.
Sounds good.
This is no. This one is about me going to the bank, and this is a blank sheet of paper. So that's not. I get mileage, so I have to mark out my bank trips. All right. First thing I'm gonna say is I don't like speaking publicly at all. So I try to do some humor in there a little bit and be awkward. And I also have a very hard-shelled exterior, but I'm very soft and sad on the inside. So I cry a lot when I'm frustrated or nervous, but I'm gonna try this. All right. The first thing I want to say is, I had a firm vote coming into this, but now I'm kind of iffy on my vote. Still not voting for Tori. That's like never gonna happen, but this is just throwing that out there. The first thing I want to do is apologize to Lauren for calling you stupid. I don't remember the context. It was probably in person because I reread our text and I didn't say anything in the text. But it was probably something I said that you were all being stupid. I don't know if I ever said it directly to you, but if I did, I do apologize. And it was out of a place of frustration, if anything, for the game. But I'm going to address you individually, and then I also have some notes just to open with about the game in general. Let's see. I wrote a page of the opening statement, and it wasn't finished. So. Okay, this game is all about perception. What experience I have had throughout this whole game are different from everybody else's experience. And my perception of this game may be completely different than you guys sitting up there and then sitting on people that aren't even in the story that don't matter. So, the one thing that most of us can agree on, most of us, not all of us, is that Tori has been the bad guy of the game. The bad guy. There's always one in every season of Survivor. But is that perception or reality? Most of you that play shake off, including me sometimes, shake off the cognitive dissonance that this game produces by assuring yourself, it's just a game. I'm the good guy. I need to win because I really want to win. It's just a game. I'm only a bad person in the game, but I'm not really a bad person in real life, so it doesn't count because it's a game. Thereby, you're giving yourself the freedom to lie, manipulate, everything you claim isn't a part of you. And you can just freely do that because it's a game. Well, I hate to break it to you, but how you play this game, any game for that matter, is a direct reflection of your character. Is it okay to trick your competitor in a soccer match if no one notices and it'll win you the game? Is it okay if you're playing a chess match and you make an extra move when your opponent isn't looking for your own personal gain? Is it okay to lie to your significant other for your own personal gain or to further yourself? If you said no to any of these things, or all of them, then why is this game different to you all than those things? You might say, but Raven, this game is about lying, manipulating, cheating, etc. That's what the game is about. No, the game was created to be played however humankind wanted to play it. It was formed over time to be a game about lying, manipulating, cheating. All they have you do is vote people out, play fun games with your friends. You guys made it the game it was. If you guys couldn't see, when we had the returners and the new people, the whole tribe of new people were friendly to each other. They made friends, they had fun and challenges. When they came to voting, they were like, oh, this person's not here, it sucks, then we have to vote him off. And then, oh, this person, didn't do the best, but they didn't mess with people the whole time that they were playing. So people adapting over time made this game the way it is, and whether you want to admit it or not, how you play this game reflects yourself. That was the opening thing that I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to talk about people now. I guess I'll start with Tori, because she started her speech first. Tori. Okay, so basically, she claims that she made all these big moves, but really I think the only move she can claim to take credit for is voting Deanna out. I think that's her only claim to fame, and I'll explain why, but basically, Eric played the game for her. To a T, played the whole game. I mean, she had George's vote in her pocket, Eric's vote in her pocket. They both wanted her to win, but Eric was the person that talked to everyone else and made it seem like we were all like, yeah, let's be with Eric. If Eric was sitting up there, I would vote for him to win again, second time, because he played the best game. He did everything for Tori. When we were split off, I have a problem with, I'm just gonna admit this outright. Sometimes if you have your phone out like this, and I can see it. I'll even tell you, like, put that away because I'm gonna read it because I'm just really nosy. Like, if you're ever sitting next to me and you got your phone out like this, I can't help it. My eyes just go right to it. And I'll just, so you gotta put that away. Earlier at Bible, my eyes just kind of fell to Eric's phone at one point. I just saw him texting Tori way back before it was confirmed that they had their alliance. He was like, Tori was like, are you gonna, you guys should get rid of Scott while you have the chance when we were broken apart and stuff like that. I was reading all of that and I was like, oh, really now? Well, I guess I can't trust them. But that was after the damage was done. Bella was voted off and Gordo was voted off. So then I was like, well, she has the game now because Erica gave her the game, pretty much. So basically, if those two people hadn't gotten voted off and it would have gone a different way, the whole game would have been different. Tori would have had to control after that. So that happened. Voting Deanna off was a good move. I just really hate how fake you are, Tori, when you voted off. Like just the Deanna shock and then you going, I didn't want to do it, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. You wanted it to happen, you did it, own up to it. That's all I'm gonna say about that. She does that all the time. And the cockiness of her thinking she did everything is just ridiculous. She even said, I don't know who all was here last week, but last week Ethan got voted out, and Tori goes, you know, I had to get rid of you because you would have come the closest to beating me. You might have had a chance to beat me. Like she knew she won already at that point. Like she had it in the bag. It was her game. But I'm really hoping that's not the case because I don't think she deserves to win. She betrayed everyone except for, I guess, the Breakfast Club, which is fine at the end, but they still lied to everyone. Yeah, so basically all of her credits go to Eric except for the Deanna move. So to Lauren, I think I was the maddest at Lauren because we did have an alliance and I talked to her because neither of us really felt included at the very beginning of the game because we weren't really friends with all the group of people like Tori and everyone. And so I wanted to make that alliance and I was the maddest because I don't think you understood what an alliance meant. It wasn't like, I'm gonna do this, do this. It's about talking and expressing what you want to do and compromising to make the best decisions for both of you. And it's also not a non-aggression pact. A non-aggression pact is what I had with Gordo, which he broke, by the way. But it's fine, you got voted out before me and that's all I wanted. I got what I wanted out of this game and that was voting you out. Gordo and Cameron and I had a non-aggression pact, which basically meant, hey, I won't vote for you until like later in the game, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna plot your demise the whole way to the end of the game. An alliance, however, is we're in an alliance, I'm not gonna hurt you in any way, which means I'm not gonna take out other people that could be, you know, helpful to you. I'm not going to plan to vote you out in the future because we're an alliance. So that's what pissed me off about voting for people. Like, I wasn't in an alliance with James because I wanted him to do his own thing, but he was still voting with me for a certain point because we wanted to get rid of Tori. It wasn't, I was mad mostly because Eric and you flat out lied to me. They're like, because our plan that week was to vote out Josh. And I didn't want to vote out Josh, but I didn't want to betray you. I didn't care about Eric because I wasn't in an alliance with Eric, but I didn't want to go against Eric because he was in an alliance with you. And that's why I didn't want, they proposed to me voting out Eric. And I thought about it, but then I was like, that would hurt Lauren though. So I didn't do that because I thought that would be unfair. So I wanted to keep Eric. And I was like, okay, I'll just stick to the plan and vote for Josh. And I thought we had the numbers. And I was shocked and upset to find that you all planned to vote for James because I just was not aware at all. So that's what hurt me about that. So I think that's... And I give credits to Elysabethe for being the most honest player and for just kind of not being a bad person and lying to people. She even let me know some tips with like inside information, I guess, which was nice. Even though we weren't in an alliance or anything, she was just like, "Yeah, I'll tell you some stuff." I was like, "Cool, thanks." hey, we should work together. And she was like, oh, yeah, maybe. And then I got voted out. That's what happened. But, okay, that's pretty much it. I'm done.
So, I came into the game looking to have fun with people and playing fun challenges, because that's what it seemed like it was about, you know? Like, from the outside, looking in, I was like, oh, they're all running around having fun, having a good time. And I very quickly realized, not even after the first challenge was done, what the real nitty-gritty part of this game was, and I already hated it. Raven, when she was with her tribe, walked by and looked and saw how just frustrated and angry I was already from the first day. And I just knew what both sides were doing, and especially, not even our side. Our side was like you guys said, like, you know, oh, let's have fun and enjoy the challenges, and oh, I hope we have fun together. And I just knew, like, on the other side exactly what was happening, and like the turmoil and the I don't even know what the word is for it, but just the frustration that I was feeling just because I knew it was already a part of this game, and I didn't want to continue with that style of play of turning on people and just lying and deceit and cutthroat plays, and it was just not my forte, and I did not want to take part in it. So I went into this game looking to just play the challenges, have fun, win challenges so I don't get voted off, and if I did, whatever, that's fine. And there was a point where I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do it. Vote me off, guys. I don't care. It was the week that you got voted off, actually. I told my tribe, I want to get voted off. Vote for me this time. Keep him in. It's fine. And they all said, no, you're valuable, and I don't know why. I still don't understand why I was kept in. I really, truly don't. But I was. Going into it further, it became clear who was working with who, and the talks behind backs and backstabbing and different plays and what they call the new school style of play if you watch Survivor. And it is deplorable. It is disgusting the way that's played, and I hate it. It's the worst. The worst. So, I'm losing my train of thought already. So I was in it still. I don't know why. They kept me in for some reason. And then we finally get to the merge, and I was like, oh, I made it to the merge. Cool, I guess. You know, it'll be fun. I'm doing my own thing now. I don't have to worry about tribe mates and us winning and losing as a team. It's just like me doing my own thing now. And then I get voted off, which was frustrating, but it was whatever. It didn't matter at that point. But I will say this: I don't have anything to say specifically to you or any of you. But if I am a part of this next season, I guess, it won't be as a player, and if they'll let me, I'm going to help on production, and it will not be the same game. I can assure you it will not be the same game. If you think you're going to play the same game, you're dead wrong right now. That's it.
James,
speech over.
James, I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm very bad at public speaking, and even worse at prepared speeches, so I'm just going to wing all this and hope for the best.
Just had a couple drinks.
I'll start by establishing I agree with James that this game is a horrible piece of shit. I hate this game. I hate playing this game. I won this game a year ago and thought I would never again play this game. I was very confident with that. The correct one thing that Lauren said earlier, I have made no secret of the fact that the only reason I'm playing this game is actually directly because of Lauren. Me and her were supposed to hang out today, but my work schedule was so terrible, I accidentally slept in. So to make it up to her, I joined the game. Although Tori is the one who got me involved in the political and strategy aspect of the game, where before I was just kind of not going to do anything. To try and address a couple of things instead, trying to remember, I would like to point out at least my perspective of the game, which of course is okay for anyone else to disagree. Raven is correct. This game is interpreted how the players want to interpret it. The game has always existed that way. It's got a very base structure, and it's evolved based off how people have played it for the past umpteen years. The way I have always seen the game, as somebody who's watched parts of the show throughout the series and who has played this game since the beginning, the name of the game is Outwit, Outlast, Outplay. Which is one reason I hate the game, is because deception, lying, and strategizing are so integrated into it that it's very hard to get to the end sometimes without using those, or at least tagging along with somebody who is going to use those strategies. So generally when I'm playing this game or voting for people in the jury section to win the game, I will vote based off who I thought played the best strategic game and working that aspect. So while the challenges are very difficult in themselves, and winning them is definitely an accomplishment, I think the person who plays a stronger political game is the one who's really going to win this over in the end, is the one securing their own safety as well as the people working with them. And to at least address on one factor of Tori's disgenuinity, towards certain votes. I will say, having known Tori for quite a while, she was genuinely hurt and upset over the vote outs of Deanna. But you are welcome to disagree. That's my take on it, having known her for quite some time. To give some dynamic to how the Breakfast Club worked, how we play this game, and how our alliance was structured, I entered this game, of course, working alongside Lauren, promising not to work against her. She did the same thing, because she was the only reason I was in this damn game. Very, very early on, first week, Tori and I struck a deal that rooted back to the very first semester we ever played this game to work together again, should we ever play together again. And that was basically the birth of the Breakfast Club right then and there. We had a group chat started since the very first week that has been very active every week, almost every day, regarding all the different players in this game, the different tribes, who we thought was doing what, who we thought was with who, and what to do going into each and every single vote. Every single one of us had a hand in making the decisions of the votes we did. What I will give credit towards between the two of them, Lauren and Tori, is Tori did tend to be the more strategic of the two of them. She was typically the one to put forth more plans and was more proactive with things. We spread out our lines very quickly. The reason we try to keep it secret was so we can go to different alliances throughout the game, be around all sorts of different people, and pay attention. Lauren, with Raven, to try and watch and see what was going on, what was going on that side. Tori had herself embedded with Josh and Scott to pay attention to what they were doing. I worked with Raven, also Ethan towards Endgame, and a couple other people, Bella and, no, it was Bella at the time, yeah. Her and Ethan towards Endgame, trying to keep an idea of what they were going to do. So we would have an idea at all times, at least what the other players were thinking, what the other alliances were planning, and we could try and pit each other them against one another and whittle them down. Now, I'll give credit. Lauren did a whole hell of a lot of work with keeping Raven with us, keeping an eye on her, and keeping things in check. And Lauren has played one hell of a fantastic game. Tori has played, in my opinion, an even better game. She has done everything Lauren has done. She's kept hold of the Josh and Scott alliance until the very end, until it's too late for them to do anything to stop us. She had talked to Elizabeth at some point in time, and for a short period of time did have Elizabeth voting alongside us. She had secured quite a few alliances, and she had made strong allies that worked together and helped her through to the end. And that is personally the way I think this game should play. She has had the best political game. She has really outwitted all of us. She's outplayed pretty much everybody except the three sitting there, and she's definitely outlasted, again, everybody but the one sitting there. She has had plenty of challenges of her own, and while I do feel flattered that Raven has given me so much credits, a whole hell of a lot of what this game has done has been Tori working her own proactively and working her own side of the game for our alliance to get things to the end. So that's all I have to say on the matter.
Okay. Well, so, as you all know, or at least should have known, I've been missing for the last 5 weeks. Now, something very interesting happens here. You get an interesting perspective. Now, you see, I played the game, I left, I returned. And the game has turned into something quite different, and the attitudes of people have turned into something quite different in that amount of time. Now, I want to make some comments on what I've heard so far, because I really haven't came here with a speech. I really haven't been here for a while. I haven't seen some stuff. I was going to ask you guys about your game, and I will ask you about your game. But first, I want to make some comments, and that is, first off, this, in total, is a game of democracy. People come up, they do some challenges, at the end, they make a vote. Now, if you are standing for the idea of cutthroat, bloodthirsty, basically playing what some people have called a bad game, then that's the ideal you stand for. If you're standing more towards trust, peacefulness, working together, then that's the ideal you stand for. But in the end, it's a game of democracy, and whatever ideal you stand for is the ideal that you're going to try and vote for. And if people do not agree, and if people do not follow your idea, then your vote loses the day. In the end, this game is a game of voting. If your vote loses the day, your vote has lost the day. So, I don't see need for changes or need for different types of rules on this game, because in the end, it's what you can convince people to do. So, if that's the game you stand for, and you can make it to the end on that game, then that's what you did to make it to the end. If you stood for either idea and you've made it to the end, that's how you made it to the end. So, I mean, people could bring up rules, people could bring up ideas, but in the end, if you cannot convince people to follow to your idea and to follow your game, then you lose the vote. You lose the vote, you lost the game. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what your ideas are or what you stand for, you need to convince people that your ideas are right and then bring it into the game. So everybody's play style is perfectly fine and validated under how this game works. There's really only one rule to this game, which is that we vote at the end. And that's what we lead to. So, I mean, the word deplorable has been thrown around. I see nothing deplorable about the nature of the game. This is the nature of the game. And if you cannot get your votes, you didn't get your votes. Sorry. So, with that, now I need to catch up on a few things. So, what do you guys think was your most decisive move? This is something I'm interested in.
I know, I'm stuck between two, because I want to say it was the Deanna vote. So I'm just going to say two anyway. So I want to say it was the Deanna vote, because like Raven said, that was really all me. Like, I was really the only person that knew she had 2 idols. So, and she was like one of my closest allies, so that was really all me. But then I would also say that last week when I got Ethan, I had no idea that he would have done that. I had no idea that he would have voted for Elysabeth. I thought for sure it was going to a tie, so I wasn't even going to try to convince him otherwise. But then I said, like, I wouldn't. Why would I be in this game to not try to get him to switch his vote? So I just said, hey, do you want to vote Elysabeth? Because, you know, me and you are here, and we deserve to make it to the end. So he voted Elysabeth, and me and Lauren voted for Ethan.
I would like to say something about the Deanna vote because Tori did tell me that Deanna had an idol, and I knew she was a threat too, and I think I had just as big of a say in that vote because at the end there, Tori was like, I don't know, I don't think this is a good idea, I feel bad, I don't want to do this, and I think me and Eric kind of like were like, I think this is a really good move, like. So I just want to say I think I had a lot to do with that one also, more than you guys are giving me credit. And decisive wise, for that James vote, I did send Josh my vote as my vote that week to Sarah, and she can confirm if she wants, but it's true. And then I heard that you were talking about voting Eric. So I was at a concert, I had no idea what was going on, so I was like, crap, and I switched my vote to confirm that we had the numbers, and we voted James. And so that was a pretty last minute decision, split second, so yeah, I don't know. That's all I have to say, I guess.
Week James got voted out. The only name I heard was Josh. And every time I voted, unless it was like a vote that no one was here, like at the beginning, like the newbies, we voted who wasn't here. So we voted who wasn't here. And all my other votes, whoever I voted for, never went home. Besides the past 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And I voted James because I don't want to be the one that voted you out, and then I didn't know they were aiming for James, and it just was a coincidence. And I felt so bad because I was with James because he was a noob, and I was like, shit, what just happened? But
Savage.
I was just like, okay, I'll write down a name because I told you guys every time I went up to that camera, I did not know who I was voting for until I got up there. And I was like, okay, I'll write down a name. And it never worked except that time and like 2 weeks ago and the week before that. So I apologize, James.
Then I have one more question. Just one. Now, again, going off of the idea of the good game, bad game, what do you think was the lowest point of your game? And I don't mean low as just a bad game. I mean the point where you stooped the lowest. If you didn't stoop low this entire game, then that's completely fine. You could say, I feel as if there was just no super low moment where I stooped. But I want to know what is your what do you think is the personal lowest point in this game in terms of an action you did?
Okay, we'll just start with me since we always do, because I have my answer. And I would say that it was when we were out of town together and I voted off Scott and Josh. We were together on vacation, and I'm just so mad that it was double elimination because I didn't want to vote them both off like when they weren't there. But I ultimately had no choice because I didn't want them making it any farther. They would have won against the Breakfast Club, and it would have messed everything up. So we almost had like no choice. I really contemplating not voting Scott or Josh the second vote because it just like wasn't fair to them to vote them both out when they weren't there. But it had to be done in order for me.
Alright, I'm gonna go back to the same moment when I switched my vote to James and lied to Raven, basically, I guess you can say now. I didn't realize you thought that way, and now that you say what you said, I see why you were so upset. And we were thinking completely different things, and so I feel bad about that. And that was my low. So, yeah.
Maybe when it was the day that Josh and Scott got voted off, I voted for Tori both times. I was the only vote for Tori those 2 times. But I was like, hey, she's a threat. And, you know what I mean? And we were texting, and I never like really confirmed, I don't think, that I was with her. I mean, I thought about voting with her just because I was like, I don't know who else to vote for, and we're getting down to the end, and I'm like, well, if I just sit there in front of the computer and just decide, oh, I'll pick the name out of the hat, and there we go. But, I mean, I guess I went against that and the James mishap.